back to the channel. So today we're getting my kid into something new. It's called this Juicebox races, and this is the Radio Flyer Ultimate Go-Kart. So we're gonna do an assembly video on this. So this is what it looks like when you crack open the top of the box. All right, so laid out here, got it out of the box. Here's the go-kart frame itself. Pretty cool. It's a metal frame. Sort of didn't expect that. So props on that. I figured it would be mostly plastic, but everything looks to be sorted up pretty nice. You got the motors in the back here, so we'll take a look at that here in a minute. But steering wheel, there's your axle bar. That looks like your front cover with your number on it. Got your little flag hanging out. Seat, some hubcaps, wheels, charger, so that means the batteries are already in it. Some Radio Flyer stuff and a cart. Alright, sorry, the instructions. So what we're going to do is go ahead and unbag everything, cut these zip ties off, get everything laid out there. There's the actual battery compartment. So looks like you got your two motors here, controller. Of course, these aren't plugged in yet, which is fine. But yeah, let's get anything uncut, unbagged, and laid out. All right, so we got everything here broken out, laid out, as you can tell. Went ahead and opened up all this. So obviously got my knife, multi-tool I'm using to cut everything off with. It's the easiest. 10 mil for these smaller bolts, 13 mil for these bigger bolts. And it looked like the most of these were a Phillips. So I got me two iterations here, both number 2s. So that should be everything for this. Now, going into the first part of this, what we're going to do is grab this axle because I want to get it up on the wheels. So we're going to slide these connectors off and grab this axle. And we're going to slide it right through these openings, right through there, and go ahead and get it just like that. And also, while I'm in here, I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in. So, and give it a tug. That's going to show that, or that's going to be the batteries are plugged in. So we're good there. And then, of course, on the back here, we'll double check, make sure it's not turned on. So that's not glowing. So we're in good shape there. All right, so once we got that snapped together, let's just unbuckle this here for a second. You'll see these tabs aligned down here in the bottom, like so. There's 4, and it tilts up. It's going to snap in place. So get these tabs in. You got this one over here. You'll make sure they're good. So that snaps in. Now we just got to grab us a screw here and thread it into right here. I should mention on this screw, it is the shorter one. So you got this thicker pointed one. This is going to be the short, thinner one. It's a 4.2 they call it. But yeah, we're just going to put it right here. All right, so the bolt's in there. I did have to put a little bit of pressure to get it back in there and get it started. It's just a little bit misaligned, but with a little bit of pressure in, got it started, and of course, just ran it in until it got tight because it's plastic. Obviously, you don't want to over torque it. And I figured while I was in here, before I get to the wheels, this seat is a fully adjustable seat, which is pretty cool. And it just sits inside this track right here. So you see you got your notches right here and this centerpiece that's going to ride through. And what that's going to be is we're going to be putting a washer and a bolt on the underside to keep it in position. So it's at this point, you probably want to sit it on there and understand where that thing's going to go. Because here's your latch to pull, and you can see how it works. Pretty simple. So we'll just set it there for now. But what you want to make sure you do is get your seat belts and run them up through these holes. So I'm going to go ahead, get those seat belts on, and then actually what I'm going to do is clip them back in. Once I get them through the holes, clip them together, and that's going to help keep the seat belts from falling back through. So pull some slack out on this guy. get it through and snap it together for the moment, just so I ain't fighting them falling back through. All right, with this thing up on the side, I want to show you on the seat. We'll just go ahead and finish get it put on. You'll see this black stud sticking out of there and the black stud sticking out of there. This is where this black seat clip's gonna come in. That was in the packet. Now this time you're going to use the 2 screws that have the point to them, the larger ones. And what we're going to do is line that up and thread it down in on top of this to lock the seat onto the slide. So I've got one hand right now holding the seat in. I'm going to throw that bar on and show you how it looks. Now it is slanted, so you want to make sure that you line flush. If I get it turned up here, one hand there, you can see it. I can show this to you better. So there's what it looks like installed. So it is directional. You'll see there's an arrow right on the inside right there. You can see it. That's going to point towards the front of the vehicle. And yeah, so that's what it looks like installed. Of course, I tightened these down to where they hit snug and then just gave them about 1/8 of a turn. Like I said, this is plastic. You definitely don't want to crank in on it too awful hard. So, with that being said, let's flip it back over here. Should be able to pull. Let me unbuckle this because I pull and adjust your seat at that point. And it'll latch in wherever you need it. So, you got your different adjustments here. Of course, when you get done, put your kid on it. See where they got to be. Alright, so now that I'm not distracted by the seat and all the battery mechanisms anymore, let's get the wheels on what I first started out to get finished. So you got these cups right here that interlock with the back of the wheel. Essentially, this is what's going to drive your system. So put that guy in there. You see, it can basically seat flush down in there. So if you get it and it looks like that, just turn it and it's going to fall in. Then you can get your tire and lift up the vehicle and put the tire on. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, there's what it looks like with the tire on. So the notches go inside the tire so it seats flat. You'll come out here, you'll see you'll have this axle shaft. If it's not sticking out far enough, obviously there's nothing holding it on the other side. You can pull it and grab it to what you need. But we're gonna get one of these washers. And these washers only go basically 2 ways because there's a notch on here that's going to let that slide flat, and that's what's going to keep the tire on. Now we can go over here and get our 13mm nylon nut and wrench and thread that nut on there, and then we'll go ahead and crank that down on there. All right, I want to stop and show you here. I actually went and got my crescent because it's easier to go ahead and put these tires on both sides like so, and then you tighten this side because, like I said, remember that axle's gonna spin. So you can go over here, put your crescent on it, hold it, and tighten down the other side, and get them both tight. So that's probably gonna be the easiest approach, rather than trying to hold the axle with you know, a pair of pliers and stand marring it up or something. But let's go ahead and get these tightened all the way down. All right, there's what it looks like tightened down. See about how many threads you got. It's gonna be the same on both sides. As you tighten them, it kind of goes together. So that's the rear tires on. Let's go ahead and jump up and do the front ones. Now those will be a little bit different because we don't have to put them on at the same time because, well, the axle's welded. But it's gonna be the same process. We'll put this tire on, grab our washer and our nut, and run those down to where they're snug, and then about our 1/8 of a turn. All right, so now that we got these wheels on, you can see what they look like fully tightened down. We're gonna go ahead and get the steering connected. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and flip this thing over, get our steering mechanism here, and it's gonna basically go like so. So it's gonna sit on top. Can I get this wheel teetered it out? But yeah, it's gonna sit on top of it like this, and the bolts we're gonna use to secure it are gonna be these shoulder bolts. So you see they've got the shoulder on them that has no threads, and what that'll be for is it goes inside of this pivot point, so we're not wallering out that hole with threads. Now, when you put this on, I want to make sure that this next part is definitely a crucial part, is the washer goes in between the bar and the knuckle here. So you got that little bit of a spacer, the bar, so bar, spacer, bolt goes through, nut on the bottom. Let me throw one together so I can show you. All right, so there's what the final product looks like. I haven't got it tightened down all the way because I still got to do this top part. But once I get them both in, I'll tighten them down. So again, snug, 1/8 of a turn. And that is going to be using this 8mm wrench. So let's get that last bolt in, get it tightened down, and move on to the next bolt. All right, so with that flip back over, what we can do, we'll go ahead and this stand is actually going to be what the steering shaft goes through. So if we put it down in there, you'll see the hole's going to line up like so. We are going to get this M6 by 32 and the last larger nut that goes on there. And we are going to, I'm going to put the bolt through on this side. So the head is towards the gas pedal. Then we'll put the nut on this side and get our 10mm and the screwdriver and get that thing tightened down. Again, snug with about 1/8 of a turn, and you'll be good to go. All right, with that got through, now we can get this steering shaft, and it's going to come up through the bottom. It will go through the piece we just put on, and the J part is going to hook into your steering, just like so, and then your shaft comes out the top. So no big deal on that one. Now we'll go ahead and set this thing back down. So our next point is to get the steering wheel on so the shaft don't fall back out. Okay, got the steering wheel. You'll see on this steering wheel that it's got the hexagon for the nut to stay in it. So you're going to get this one here. It's got the Loctite on it because we don't need our steering wheel nut backing off and pulling the steering wheel out and losing steering during operation. But that is going to go up here. Let me push this steering shaft back up here. Make sure you stay within the black loop in the bottom. You'll see that hole right there. So you can see the steering wheel is going to line up with it, and then we'll put the bolt through it and tighten it down with our screwdriver. All right, got that tightened down in there. Got that. You'll see what that looks like there. Now when you turn your steering wheel, your wheels are now turning. So while we're up front, let's go ahead and put this front of the bar on. Your connector up here, or your bumper bar. It slides back in like so. The powder coat here is holding it up a little bit. But essentially what's going to do, if you got those holes, it's going to bump back into place. And then our last two longer bolts, we're going to run those down in. And just remember, when you put this down in, the washer is going to go on the underside on the nut on this one. And these guys here, these are actually a 8mm bolt or an 8mm nut. So I'm going to have to run out and get a wrench for it. So sorry about that. I know I said that the 13 and 10 was the only ones we needed, but looks like an 8 for this smaller one. So let me get this thing pushed in there and throw these bolts in, show you what it looks like. All right, so there it is tightened down. Again, tighten these snug, about 1/8 of a turn. I guess I should go ahead and also mention, make sure when you put the bar on, the curve goes up. You don't want the curve to go down because that'd be into the ground, and that would be an NG situation. All right. See where we're at here. It looks like we've got pretty much close to an operable vehicle, but things we've got left in the pile are fenders, flags, which this looks like a flag extension, and hubcaps. So hubcaps will be pretty easy. We'll save that to the end. Those are just going to pop on. So the next thing, let's grab his fender. So coming back to here, this fender, You can see this long sloop here. It's going to sit down and push in place like so. See, I went ahead and threw that one on. Now we're going to take our remaining 4 screws and go ahead and get these fenders tightened down on there. Again, it's plastic. You don't have to torque it down. Just run it down to where it's snug. So let's throw some bolts in. Okay, fenders are on. Now next thing, let's grab some hubcaps. You see you got a notch here in the tire. That notch is going to line up with the hubcap. So that's just going to make sure we're lined up to all the places. Now we'll go ahead and you'll see this will have to be pushed down in there. I'm going to get 2 hands on so I don't break it. But essentially, these clips go in to right here and all the way around. So this is going to be the same process for all of them. Again, roll it over, find the notch on your tire. So there's the notch on this guy. Here's the front hubcap. You roll it around. There's your notch on it. And it'll be the same way. Line those up, and then we'll go ahead and I'll push these in and snap all the rest of them on. Okay, hubcaps are on. So really the last thing is you can put your little flag. It goes in that hole right there. You push it down in. You heard it seat. And then take your top flag. Push it down in. There you go. And you got a big flag on it. So that's pretty much the build. It's all together. Now the next thing would be, you obviously put your kit on it. Adjust the seat. Your charge port's here. We'll hit the button. You see it's illuminated. So that means it is good to go. Let's go ahead and put it down into first gear. Yep, so here we got fuel there. Go to the second gear. Got it there. So third gear right now is locked out. It's got this little like governor piece on it. So that's how you keep your kids from going into ludicrous mode. But we're going to take that out because we like to go fast. So that'll be the next thing. And then I'll get my little girl in here and get this seat adjusted to her. And then the next thing that I'll just show pictures. You have to go on my Instagram. Is I'll get rid of this decal. Do something different here to put the her actual pick number on it for the race. It was one of the requests because all these come with 7. So that also means the flag's probably got to go to 2. But yeah, let's take this piece out and get it fitted. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. So I've had my daughter in a couple races. She loves it. It's a good time. Everybody loves it. So if you guys have any questions on the race or on this vehicle, drop your comments down below and I'll try to get to them. But until next time, let's keep building.